Fire. Fire, fire, fire.
Let's do it. She's getting sued. Uh-oh.
Andrew Wilson and Brian Atlas of the Whatever podcast are looking into suing Tilly Middlehurst for defamation after she just publicly called Andrew Wilson a rapist on her.
What? You can't just say that. This is why I think, honestly, I know there's people who are like sue happy, but sometimes you really need to put people in their place. Like, you can't just fucking call someone that, especially a man. Like, the stigma is that males are the ones that do it the most, right? So, like, people always have this stigma in their heads, like, oh, well, if someone says they are, they must be, right?
Her platform. Let's get right
They don't
into
go
it.
for
If you don't know
facts.
who any of these people are, Andrew Wilson is the host of a podcast called The Crucible and is also a regular guest on the Whatever podcast, where he is more widely known for being the bad smoky man who yells at drunk OnlyFans girls and then the pickle incident.
All right, bro, I can't do it. Here.
All right.
I'm supposed to open the pickle jar?
Yeah.
Really immature.
It's all fucking
It's just
slick
for,
now.
it's a little,
See, it
little fun.
is.
I gotta grip it.
Uh-oh, Andrew. If you can't open it either.
The pickle incident.
I can't grip the fucker.
Oh no! What if they gave him a dud one?
Like, I gotta have a way to grip it.
Yeah, I know.
Should we have Jake try?
You'll see the same thing. Try it. Nah, you fucker.
Brian Atlas
You
is the host of
fucker.
the Whatever podcast, and I doubt you have lived your life
Can't grip
online
his
without
pickle.
seeing at least a few clips from his show.
Touch my
And finally,
pickle.
Tilly Middlehurst is a Cambridge graduate debate bro who actually once famously debated Charlie Kirk. Now, I'm not a huge
Oh.
fangirl of any of these people or
No,
their shows,
neither
but I
am
have
I.
to admit that both Andrew Wilson and Tilly Middlehurst
We've looked at viral clips, but that's because they're actually kind of funny sometimes. Like, you hit the nail on the head sometimes with those. There's a really famous one where there's one that looks like Jabba the Hutt, and it's like, yeah, I have like 80 men that I slept with, and the dude is like, you found 80 men that want to pork you?
are really
Yeah, Girl
great
Up the
debaters.
Destroyer,
And until
yes.
recently, I actually did have quite a bit of respect for Tilly because she seems to be very articulated, restrained, and unemotional, even during some of the most challenging debate topics. However, she just f***ed up so bad. Let me just show you the clip. Tilly Middlehurst is on the left, and in this live stream, she is talking to another debate bro who goes by Not So Erudite.
He's a rapist. Andrew Wilson's a rapist. I saw you did you sit with Andrew Wilson? That's one thing I would disagree with you doing, which is interesting. Like, maybe that's the
Like
where the
talking to
debate
Andrew
will
Wilson?
happen. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I just worry immediately for your safety in that moment because of the fact that he's a rapist. Andrew Wilson's a rapist. I mean, he's admitted on
I would sue the fuck out of her and get every penny out of her if I could. If someone did that to me, I would just milk her dry, bro.
live streams before on his podcast.
Is this her fantasy or something? I think she feels slighted, and because she's a relatively attractive woman who has supposedly a semblance of intelligence, she thinks she can get away with this shit because people didn't tell her no enough times. She thinks she can get away with this with no repercussions.
He doesn't really believe in what he understands the modern version of consent to look like, and his entire career is built upon a foundational premise that you get clicks by bullying underage girls or women who are underqualified to speak about political problems.
Wait, underage girls? I'm pretty sure every single person on the podcast is 18. Like, even if you make the argument and say, oh, they only bring OF girls, you literally have to be 18 to be an OF. They check your ID and everything. Like, they verify your social security and shit. Like, I don't even know what to say. That feels like another lie, no?
No, I'm not saying that that's you. I actually don't think that that is you at all. And I think that he went out on a limb when he debated you because that's not usually the type of person that he would engage with. But, like, I think that that's for the men. I think Andrew Wilson is for the men to tackle because his audience are so. I mean, I've watched.
Come on, say that the audience are rapists too, please. Go ahead.
Probably watched 20 hours or more of his podcast, and I've been approached before to come on whatever, and I just said no because I don't think there's any winning. And that's, yeah. So I would...
Okay, that's fine. I totally get what she's trying to say, too, because it's like, It's their turf. They're clearly gonna farm you for clips. You agree to it and you get paid money. Like, that's a lot of the time, people don't understand this. You can make the argument and say, oh, whatever podcast is rage bait clip farming. Okay. But those girls consent to it. It's not like they're pulling up these girls saying dumb shit and then they farm them. They actually consent to it and are fine with getting farmed. Yeah, it's the same with Caleb's show. Yeah, and they get to plug their OF too. It's not like they don't get anything out of it. Do you know how many guys probably hate goon to those girls after they're done watching the whatever content or the whatever podcast? Like, come on, at least like a couple. Like, at least like 10 to 15, maybe even 20, maybe more. I don't know.
I want you to speak to your experience of that, because I was frankly not going to go and sit in a room with a bunch of men who don't believe in consent. I was spooked.
Yeah, it feels, correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like a commentary on platforming in general. And I have very mixed thoughts about platforming, and maybe you disagree. Maybe it is not a platforming. And so correct me, am I misunderstanding you and saying it somewhat feels
maybe
like...
a little.
Okay.
Maybe a little, because I'm not big on the argument of you platforming, you're legitimizing these ideas. I think that's actually a really complex and nuanced topic that people slap a big thought terminating cliche on. You're legitimizing, you're doing this. I was genuinely just worried that a woman was engaging in the debate. I think that in this instance, when it comes to men like this, it should be a man who engages in that particular debate.
Oh, hold on. What are you? Yo, wait a minute. What? Are you saying girls can't debate boys on the argument of consent? That's not very progressive, milady. That's not very nice.
And also, I was literally worried for your physical safety.
What? You think he was gonna just like jump over the table and rape her? What the fuck is wrong with you? What?
Worried for the physical safety of the women who go in person to these podcast environments.
That is so cringe. That is so cringe.
I've heard horror stories of them forcing you to film for 8-9 hours and then promising you reimbursement, but then they're dragging out the debate until they get until they're satisfied, and only then will they reimburse you.
But that's not. You're consenting to it contractually. If they really didn't like it, someone would have sued them for like overworking them, and these girls never do. You are so dumb. Like, the more I like listen to this, the more logical fallacies just pop up. Forcing you by paying you for your work. Okay, wow, you get to sit in a podcast for 8 to 9 hours, and they probably provide you food and water. I've seen them fucking bringing water to them and stuff. It's not like they're fucking starving them. Good lord.
Stranded out in the desert trying to get back home because of I've heard horror stories from so many women. Obviously, I'm not going to put them on blast here, but women who've spoken to me personally about their experiences, and none of them have been good. So I disagreed with you going because I was just thinking, oh, what is she doing? Nothing to do with platforming, you know?
Yeah. So I suppose in my experience, I have a pretty decent working relationship with Brian Atlas, the host. He repaid me, so we negotiated ahead of time that he was going to pay for travel and stay, and he reimbursed me within 24 hours, so I had no reimbursement issues. Afterwards, he offered to take me out for food. He got food on set, but I've definitely never felt for even a second physically under threat from either of these individuals, like in no way, shape, or form.
Okay, so in that clip, Tilly makes a lot of incredibly outrageous claims.
And also, like, exacerbating the consent language to, like, I didn't consent to working 8 to 9 hours. Bitch, the fuck do you mean? You don't know what's in their contract? Maybe they tell them that they need 8 to 9 hours.
Obviously, first and foremost, the most outrageous claim being that Andrew Wilson is a rapist. Now again, I'm not even an Andrew Wilson fan. I've been very critical of Andrew Wilson in the past, but one thing that I'm not about to criticize Andrew Wilson for is for being something that he's not.
It's a horrific crime to accuse someone of that, and I feel like a lot of these dumb bitches open their mouth and they don't realize what they're saying. And again, I feel like with her saying, oh, the consent, I feel like she likes to exacerbate. She likes to attach things to context that don't really have any meaning. Like, oh, they didn't consent to working 8 to 9 hours. Okay, what? I'm sure they did. They contracted though.
Wilson is
I'm
a lot
sure.
of things. He's an asshole. He's inflammatory. He's provocative. But he's not a rapist. And you can't say that he is. And her argument
You have no
supporting this
proof, bro.
claim is that when guests are invited onto the Whatever podcast, they're often kept there for several hours at a time, which can often be true. I've seen episodes go for over 6 hours at times. But when you think about it, that is really just a standard working shift for most.
And I'm sure they have breaks in between. Otherwise, people would complain, I would hope, right? Like, like, it's crazy.
People working regular jobs that are awaiting reimbursement. Working for over 6 hours consensually is not SA. She additionally states that she worries for guests' safety. The Whatever Podcast channel has been posting since 2013, so that is well over a decade of posting, and every single guest has left physically unscathed, maybe a little bit embarrassed, maybe.
And I like the phrasing too in the clip as well. She's like, I felt for your physical safety. Like, yeah, he's gonna like hurt you right in front of everybody. Like, what the fuck?
A little bit shaken up from not being able to debate or defend themselves properly, but no one has ever been actually
for 6
physically or
hours.
actually
It's so hard.
harmed.
No.
And finally, she claims that guests who are invited onto the Whatever podcast are left abandoned in the desert. The Whatever podcast is filmed in Santa Barbara, California. This is a place with a beautiful coastal...
I thought they were like filming in... I don't know why my head thought this. I thought like in the Saudi Arabian dunes in a tent. Like, what are we talking about? A desert? What?
temperate climate and is surrounded by beaches. I don't know if Tilly knows what a desert is, but Santa Barbara, California is not a desert. And even not so erudite, you could see, is just like shocked by what Tilly is saying and even stood up for these people saying, nope, I've actually always felt safe. I have a great working relationship with these people. I've always been paid very quickly after the show. I truly thought that Tilly Middlehurst was a pretty respectable woman. Even if
I thought that she, until she started saying like fucking, oh, he's a rapist. I thought she sounded quite intelligent.
I don't agree on absolutely
until she opened
everything,
her mouth proper,
but
of course.
My jaw was hitting the floor when she was saying these things. Because even if I don't care about Brian Atlas or about Andrew Wilson, the things that she is saying and the claims that she is making cause so much harm to all victims of actual SA. Saying that you've been because you stayed on a podcast for over 6 hours or your payment was delayed is incredibly harmful to real victims because you are absolutely distorting the gravity of the definition of real sexual violence. Things like this are why victims have such a hard time being...
And then again, it counts against people who come out, especially girls, saying, hey guys, I got assaulted, and then there's a bunch of people that are like, damn, this must be just like the case that I heard about, I better not, because it builds a bias against girls that come out and say something. It sucks. I've seen it time and time again when it turns out that that assault was actually real, because there's a bias of fucking women lying.
Believed. Accusing someone of being a is one of the most important and significant accusations you could ever make. So what Tilly is doing here, trivializing one of the most violent crimes imaginable as a rhetorical insult, is so damaging and more insulting to actual victims. It makes it impossible for me to take anything Tilly Middlehurst ever says again seriously, because this is just so upsetting. It means that she's the kind of person who's willing to conflate any inconvenience with the most grave and terrible crimes a person can conflate. And mind you, one of her other criticisms of Andrew Wilson is that he takes issues with some of the more modern definitions of consent.
Well, then she also says, like, I can't debate him because I'm a woman and a man needs to debate in my place if we're talking about consent. It's like, what's stopping you? Like, what? So then you call him a rapist because you don't like his point of view, like being a R-worder, I can't see the word too much because YouTube is cringe, but like accusing someone of that just because you disagree with them, like really?
I've never ever heard Andrew Wilson say that he doesn't believe in consent. It's pretty much what Tilly is doing that he's referring to. When Andrew Wilson says that he takes issues with certain modern definitions of consent, he means that he takes issues with people like Tilly saying, I've worked too long today and you're not paying me quickly. I'm being... That...
Honestly, wait a minute. Maybe if you put it that way, wait, have you ever played like a League or like COD? And some guy's like 0 and 10 and he's like, guys, I'm being raped right now. I'm being so raped right now. Like, maybe she's thinking like that. Like, oh, my McDonald's job is raping me right now, guys.
That's the issue he has. Like
I
I said,
say
Brian
that,
has been running this podcast for years, and it might get a little controversial, it might get a little heated, but no one is harmed in the making of the production. And insinuating that literally guests should feel physically unsafe, and not even insinuating, but blatantly calling Andrew Wilson a rapist, is well, it's a choice that she might get sued for. Because as of right now, this is what Brian Atlas has to say about it. I will be pursuing a lawsuit against Tilly Middlehurst for numerous libelous comments. Further, I strongly encourage Andrew Wilson to pursue his own particularly strong legal claims against this liar. Her false and fabricated claims that Andrew Wilson is a are defamation per se. Legal harm to reputation is presumed without needing proof of actual damages. And this is absolutely true. Typically in a defamation case, you actually have to prove malice as well as financial damages in order for the case to go anywhere. But when it comes to major claims that you absolutely know already are not true that you make anyway, such as calling someone a calling someone a sex offender, things like that, you don't actually need to prove any financial damages, and you hardly even have to prove malice if you can just prove that they knew these things weren't true, because the harm to your reputation is just assumed. Brian carries on, it's despicable that leftists must resort to such egregious slander without a second thought. To so casually, falsely accuse someone of is terrifying. She was too much of a coward to debate Andrew Wilson, so instead resorts to pathetic attacks and false accusations.
So she didn't even debate him, and then she just straight up insulted him? I honestly thought that maybe she got scorned on stream, or like roasted, or like she lost the debate, or whatever the fuck. I don't watch their content. But like, I thought it was more like that. She didn't even debate him, she just went full hog.
This woman has zero credibility. I would strongly encourage any men, professionally or otherwise, to stay away from this woman, given her propensity for baseless false accusations. I also think this is a really great point. If I was a dude even mildly considering being around Tilly Middlehurst, I would, after seeing this, no longer ever want to be near her with an even 50-foot pole. Because you never know when something might mildly offend or trigger her, and now you're being accused of being a rapist. Now she's lobbying false accusations against you because you hurt her fifis. Or maybe you just didn't pay her fast enough. Maybe you just didn't give her what she wanted fast enough.
She honestly sounds like a COD player. No, you didn't get top. No, fuck, I'm getting raped.
Maybe she just feels so entitled to everything happening the exact way that she wants it to happen that if you do not acquiesce to every single demand, she is willing to just ruin your life. And this is so terrifying.
And I honestly think that the reason people do this is because they get away with these actions because they don't suffer from consequences.
People, because it begs the question, how many other women are just like this? Women who present as beautiful and educated, but are actually malicious, terrifying monsters.
Oh, men, it happens to men too. There's people who are psychopaths and they're beautiful and handsome, and then it turns out that they're complete sociopaths. It's honestly, I think, it might, not might, but I feel certain that it's because she's conventionally attractive and sounds smart on paper. That's why she gets away with it.
I can't even stress this enough. I never want to be in
It's pretty privilege in a nutshell, essentially.
Position where I have to defend Andrew Wilson, and yet you made me be here. I know that Andrew Wilson is mean. There are a lot of Andrew Wilson's worldviews that I absolutely disagree with, but I also know that Andrew Wilson is not a rapist. I know that Brian Atlas does not run a podcast where you need to feel physically in fear of your life. And then to conclude this tweet, he basically agrees with my working theory that she's just an entitled monster with, she was also a nightmare dealing with when we attempted to book her for a debate with Andrew Wilson. Awful attitude.
Well, that tracks. Again, pattern of behavior. I would honestly, I could probably figure out that she might just be a person who is entitled, self-aggrandizing, got a lot of clout, and then when she doesn't get her way because she's a girl and people give leniency to girls, which is just the bias that the world has because we are the dainty gender, we are the dainty, you know, can't really do anything wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she gets away with a lot because of her appearance and her gender. I would call her attractive. Chad, I'm saying this like, she's not ugly to fucking look at. She's not fat, okay? You don't get immediately repulsed when looking at her. When she opens her mouth, that's a different story. But I think like 9 times out of 10, yeah, she's all right looking. She's not ugly.
Total diva. And look, you're allowed to be a diva. That's fine. What you aren't allowed to do is call someone a on a public platform
she gets away with
who has
it.
never even been accused of or charged with. And maybe I should be less surprised, but I am genuinely shocked that a person with as much experience and education from one of the top universities in the world.
Oh, that doesn't mean anything. You can still be a stupid retard and get educated by, like, I don't know, Harvard or Oxford University.
Doesn't know that. So we know that Brian is looking into suing, but what's Andrew's reaction been so far? Andrew posts, "This is why I follow the Pence rule and bring my wife everywhere." You're paranoid, Andrew. Does anybody have any doubts this woman would make false accusations against a man she doesn't like if she could get away with it? And look, I gotta agree with Andrew.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of cases like that.
Andrew here. I have no doubts that she would. I don't blame men for doing the old hover hand or refusing to even put their arm near a woman during a photo shoot. I definitely don't blame him for bringing his wife everywhere. It's also not lost on me that women used to be encouraged to bring their husbands around with them everywhere for physical protection, but now men are being encouraged to bring their woman around with them everywhere for social protection. So how realistic is this lawsuit going to be? The tricky part and the uphill battle for Brian right now, and possibly Andrew if he does decide to join the fray, is that they are located in the United States and Tilly Middlehurst is located in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
While a defamation or libel case would be pretty airtight here, the tricky part is when you sue people for these kinds of things, typically you have to go to where they are to sue them. So while Brian or Andrew would not have to physically go to the UK, they would have to hire a solicitor or a barrister to argue the case in court over there. Though it's not impossible to have the case brought here because Brian or Andrew could argue that Tilly's public statements on her platform affected a US citizen to a US audience and caused harm within the US, which it did, in my opinion. I'm also wondering if the fact that Not So Erudite, who is a US citizen, being involved might also influence the courts to allow the case to be held here. And finally, when it comes to defamation...
Being extradited over calling someone a rapist. Oh my god. I can't help but think that people are way too comfortable in the fact that, like, oh, I'm in a different country or I'm on the internet. Remember that guy that said that, that implied and said that Aspen was, fucking a chick that was underage and she was completely of age? And then he proceeded to delete everything when the videos and the viral tweet happened? Yeah, I hope he's suing him, genuinely. Like, I don't know if he is or not, but... and it might take a long time, but like the people don't fucking they can't keep getting away with this shit. Mike Tyson quote, yeah, you people are too comfortable saying shit on the internet. It's crazy.
Libel cases, you kind of have to ask yourself if the juice will be worth the squeeze. Because defamation and libel cases are incredibly expensive and long, drawn-out situations that cause a lot of emotional grief more than anything. They can be incredibly stressful, anxiety-ridden experiences that often cause the person suing more money than they ever end up gaining from.
I would do it out of principle. I actually would. Fuck that hoe. Fuck you. Fuck everyone. I would fucking go scorched earth on her.
Because what does Tilly Middlehurst do now that she has graduated? Her LinkedIn describes her as a speaker and influencer. Her Instagram has over 200,000 followers, which is good, but Instagram...
You're not even at the beach.
Doesn't pay. What is this link to? Okay, this is her Substack page. Not too many followers. About 2,000 subscribers on her Substack too. And YouTube would probably be her best chance of making decent money, but she only has 2 videos. But maybe people send her a lot of money on her PayPal or buy me a coffee. I'm not saying she isn't successful, but she's probably only making decent income and mostly has more college debt than anything.
Now, I would do it out of principle. Even if she doesn't have a lot of money, I wouldn't care about the money. I would want to send a message to everybody else. That's why people are scared to fucking do anything. Again, obviously, if you don't have the money, don't go through with it. But if you have that kind of money, which that guy apparently does, just fucking do it. I would.
I'm sure Brian's reasons for wanting to sue have a lot more with making
Someone calls me a pedo,
than
I'll
they
fucking
do
sue
collecting
you.
any money. But again, he's going to have to weigh if
Think I'm joking?
all of that would be worth it to him. Because again, a lot of defamation cases can end up costing multiple 6 figures, last several years, and are just emotionally grueling and taxing on anybody. If Brian does decide to go ahead with this, I fully support him. Women can't just do this, and they shouldn't think that they can get away with doing this. It's okay to dislike Andrew. It's okay to publicly criticize Andrew. It is not okay to diminish one of the most violent crimes that has ever existed throughout human history by just throwing that accusation around at anybody who hurts your fifis. This is just such an insult and slap in the face to victims everywhere, of which she should understand there are millions. It would be ideal.
Like, she doesn't care. She uses the word lightly because it's an easy gotcha.
If they could reach some kind of resolution outside of court where maybe Tilly agrees to delete any footage that she possibly can of that, come out with a public apology, retract her statement. But press X to doubt. Tilly seems like such an entitled, pompous asshole.
I think if she got served papers and it actually was physically in front of her, she might apologize. Casey Tron said that, like, oh, Ethan Klein did this and that, and Ela, and they hurt their kids. She said that for a while until she got served, and then she made an apology with snot running down her stupid face. Like, I wouldn't say never at this point.
Who's gotten away with so much bullshit in her life that all she's probably going to end up doing is doubling down. Meanwhile, she's giving her opposition so much ammunition because this is the exact type of behavior that guys like Brian and Andrew criticize is becoming the basis and norm for modern feminism. Women like Tilly try to say that women should be trusted, women should be believed, and then go ahead and do bullshit like this.
You're shooting yourself in the foot.
I wish we could just believe women when they make incredibly serious accusations like this, but because of people like Tilly, we can't. We should investigate all claims, absolutely, but this is why we can't just go around believing people anymore. I feel so bad for Andrew and Brian that they even have to deal with this, because as inflammatory and controversial as their content might be, they don't deserve to be accused of being rapists and having to go through all of this to defend themselves. Because we know that they have to. We know that in the court of public opinion, it really is guilty until proven innocent. But if
well, and then it's too late when things turn around. I've said this before with famous people. I can only list from World of Warcraft, funnily enough. There was a guy that was a voice actor. He got accused, vindicated, but Blizzard already fired and replaced all of his voice acting within about a year of it happening, even though it turns out that it was all not real and it wasn't true. Yeah, it was the damage is already done. The court of public opinion was already overturned. The same thing. Again, I wouldn't accuse Hassan of the brothel thing because nothing legally happened there. I don't know if it's true or not. Like, I know that they raided the brothel that he went to, but I don't think any illegal activity happened because I don't have any evidence for that. Why would I call him that when I don't know? It makes me more intelligent to not go based on emotional vitriol of me disliking Hassan to just like fucking hypothetically saying that he's a rapist. He's not. I don't know that. I don't have any proof or any evidence.
There is a court.
I could say it doesn't look good, but I could never say that he is definitively.
Case.
Rich Campbell as well, right? I actually don't know much about that in terms of like what happened with his legal proceedings, but basically I think nothing ever came of it, so I'll assume. I'm not sure.
This is literally looking like it's about to be Johnny Depp v. Amber Heard all over again, dude. Anyway, until there's more to this story, that's about all I have to say on that. I just had to cover this because this is freaking crazy. But you know the drill. Make sure you like the video. You've watched long enough. You owe it to yourself. If you're new here, hit subscribe. Remember, I do go live on Mondays at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Ew,
that's about it.
Eastern Standard Time. Blech. Yeah. I like our little intro bop. I mean outro bot. Yeah. I think the Rich Campbell thing got settled or something. I don't fucking know. I'd have to look into it, but an EST chud. Yeah. What's wrong with EST? I'm kidding. Nothing's wrong with that. EST's fine. A little hee-hee, a little ha-ha chant. Good video. Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch.
Oh, yeah.